some breaking news updates in the Justin Baldoni versus Blake Lively legal saga. The judge has finally weighed in on those phone records that Blake Lively is just fishing to get her hands on. And we have some leaked audio that basically confirms why WME let go of Justin Baldoni. Get ready. Let's dive in. You're listening to No Filter with Zack Peter, your go-to source for all the latest pop culture and reality TV tea, served fresh all week long. Now, let's dive in. What's up, guys? Welcome on in. We have a lot that we are going to be getting into this morning, and I think we may have a new style of every Friday doing a town hall where I bring on some of your favorite creators to recap some of the biggest headlines from the week. And these are three of my favorites on X. If you've been following the Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni drama, then on X, then these are three of the people that you've probably been keeping up with. First up, she had a breaking exclusive last night, about Ari Emanuel from WME. Please welcome Colonel Kurtz. Hi, Kristen.
Hey, what's up? I'm so happy to be here. Thrilled. This is like my go-to show for Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni stuff.
Love it. I mean, I'm always screenshotting your tweets and sending them to my next guest today. We talk every day for hours on end, and we're constantly sending each other court documents and hot takes and articles, especially when we're now apparently the center of this takedown against the creators. Please welcome my girl, Donna Bowling.
Hello. I'm so excited to be here, even though I'm not even like that present on X. But now I need to be, because I'm moving away from Threads.
You're present on Threads, and that's your mistake, because all the Blake bots are on Threads.
No, I no longer. I no longer will subject myself to that kind of torture. I'm moving away from that place.
And then our last guest today, I'm excited that we don't have her AI version, but we have the real version here in person. Please welcome Little Miss Jacob, Ari Jacob. Welcome back. Your audio's out. Wait, your mic.
I like your shirt.
Oh, thank you. Yes.
It ends with drama. I love it.
Wait, this is the best shirt I've ever seen. It ends with drama is my Roman Empire. We need that.
Okay, so I want to start by diving into these court rulings that were filed this morning from Judge Lehman. He's weighing in on the phone records. The subpoena, Blake Lively wanted to get all of Justin Baldoni's phone records for the past 2.5 years, and Judge is weighing in on both of them. The court documents aren't that long. From what I got, she seems to have gotten some of the records, not all of what she was hoping for, but let's skim through these documents and we'll chat through it. You guys got a chance to take a peek though, right, Donna?
I looked at it too, and also everyone's saying in the comments as well about some breaking news just on Variety, so we've got to cover that as well.
What happened on Variety?
Well, about Blake Lively just hiring a former CIA alum for Crisis PR. So
it's getting serious, dude.
We've got some interesting people joining Blake Lively's team. That was just breaking on Variety right now. This is going to be wild. So first, let's get into the court case. A lot of you guys are saying that in the comments. So
also, I think we're going to have a breaking piece come out, and then I just got a tip about there's another article that might be. Oh, I wonder if the Variety article is what was being referred to. Something about
FBI.
Trolls allegedly being hired by Justin Baldoni to spread information.
Are they talking about all of us?
Well, that's kind of what we keep getting accused of, that like we're on his payroll. I mean, so Donna and I just did an interview with a publication. We won't reveal which one, and we'll see if this article ends up coming out, because a lot of us, Dave Neal, I was talking to, Popcorn Planet, I was talking to yesterday about this article. It seems that now the target is the creators, Blake. And it's interesting how the media has all kind of followed suit. Like Blake Lively came out, she names Candace Owens, she names Perez Hilton in one of many of her latest court filings this week, referencing that they're now part of this smear campaign, right? And then next thing you know, It comes out in Variety about the content creators. We had a hit piece come out against Candace Owens in The Cut. And then Donna and I just did an interview with another publication that was seemingly like a innocuous, let's talk about, your success as a creator. And
Like,
then
That's
it
how they
ended
do
up
it.
being, that's how they do it. And I've been part of these media hit pieces in the past that I kind of sussed it out. And I was like, let me just do this interview to see. And it became abundantly clear that, or at least from Donna, you can weigh in too. I think they're going to position us as grifters that are taking it. We saw what happened with Deb v. Heard, and we saw how people made so much money off of that. And now they're making it look like that's what we're trying to do.
don't forget when they found all that metadata, they also came back and said, you guys are idiots, basically. You don't know what real journalism is, and you didn't find anything, in fact. And so I think that got buried too. Their response was basically, those little minions online don't know anything.
This is their
Of course,
game plan.
They said, oh yeah, these people, online sleuths, found that people unfollowed Baldoni, but when it's not in their favor, they're like, oh, you guys are, less than, for sure.
Well, this is
Yeah.
what they did in Depp versus Heard, because I was just telling y'all that, when I was around for that, and that was obviously a giant circus. But one of the main things that Amber Heard's team and the media, mainstream media, put forward is this idea that people like us are paid off in some way, or we don't even exist. We're bots, we're trolls, or in the case of content creators, that we have some nefarious agenda, a misogynist agenda often, right, to trash women like this.
Yeah.
It was the piece that we were getting interviewed. It was separate interviews, but by the same person, and it was positioned. I kept really trying to focus on the fact that Zack and I specifically, we have been doing our shows on a daily basis, regardless. Like, I'm talking about Southern Charm. I'm talking about all kinds of stories, regardless of Blake and Justin. This fell into our laps. It's not like I decided on December 21st, I'm going to start a YouTube channel.
Right.
Because this is a big story and now I want to make money. It's like so separate, but it kept coming up. Like, can you maybe just share how much money you made in January? Like, maybe just
they were asking you that. Yeah.
that's their specific.
Yeah.
And basically leading us to the answers. To by the end of the interview, in my head, I was like, fuck it. He wants me to say this. I'm just going to give him or at least give him something to see what he runs with, knowing well where he was going with it. But he'd be like, just tell me, like, did your numbers double? Did they triple? Like, can you just give me? And I'm like, what? In my head, I'm like, okay, you want me to be like, I'm getting all of this, all boatloads of money off of this
making it
case.
rain. Making it rain.
Yeah.
I told him, I said, I don't know exactly, but my butler is here giving me a pedicure. So hold on. I don't have the numbers. Hold on. I just have to get my gold watch. And let me, it's a joke. I mean, obviously, but the thing is, I wasn't around during the Depp Heard trial in terms of my show. I wasn't doing this show at the time. So I don't know this kind of like high. The closest I can connect this to is Scandival. But I was telling Zack yesterday, like, it was not nearly as every day a new piece of information. Scandival lasted a few weeks in terms of really excitement. And it wasn't like this where every day it was like, wow. I mean, the biggest excitement I remember was like when Bethany interviewed Rachel, and that was like a huge week. And then there was like a few days of huge things, but this is like every day a new piece of, we can't escape it. It's not like we're diving back into the same thing and like keep going into it. Like today, a new legal filing comes out every day.
Yeah, and it's unprecedented. Even with Depp Heard at the height of that, yes, every single day during the trial period, it was. I mean, this is far eclipsed by that. That was crazy. I've never been through anything like that. But this is definitely shades of that. And the attack pieces that were written by the mainstream media during Depp versus Heard against people like that umbrella guy, for instance, focused heavily on how much money he supposedly was making. And they even looked at his, what's the website where it estimates Sling or whatever it is, where it estimates what content creators have made in
Which
a certain
bogus.
It is bogus.
It's
Totally bogus. But they quoted that. There was a hit piece that quoted that. And of course, they took the highest estimate for his earnings that was possible on that chart. And so, I even got a hit piece written about me by Rolling Stone covering the Marilyn Manson situation. on. They didn't name me, but they talked about me in my videos, and they mentioned how many views I was getting, as if it was nefarious, as if, well, I must be spouting BS every day just for money, just for views.
Which is so preposterous because it's like they do the same fucking
Right.
bullshit.
What are
Yes.
their
Like, are you
what are
kidding
their
me?
salaries?
Like, are you like, hello, when the OJ Simpson trial was happening and all the newscasts, because
Yes.
social media wasn't a thing then, and that was a huge, widely publicized case. And like, also, fuck off. I covered the Gwyneth Paltrow trial. It didn't get as many eyes. Like, it had a
Right.
couple of moments, but it just didn't. I covered the Tom Girardi, Erica Jane scandal, which was attached to Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. That got good numbers, but it wasn't as big as this is because it has Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds attached to it in
Right.
this culture. And I said this in the interview, in this culture where people are seeing through these media manipulation tactics and these PR tricks of Hollywood. And so, all of those newscasters that were broadcasting outside of the courtroom during the Menendez brothers, during OJ Simpson, they were doing the same thing. They were fighting for views.
Right.
And guess what? They were profiting off of these legal scandals. We're just the new form of media, and they can't get their head around the fact that they're going extinct. Sorry, dinosaurs, but the meter is coming, and you're about to be blown into oblivion like Blake Lively in her lawsuit.
Yeah, it's jealousy. It's so much jealousy, I think, is really fueling this. And sometimes you'll see people like Kat Tenbarge or Taylor Lorenz on Twitter bemoaning the fact that they make so much less than content creators. So I think they imagine we're like rolling in the
Sucks to
dough,
suck.
which we aren't. There's a reason why I still have a waitressing job, people. It ain't as lucrative as you think.
Well,
Even if you were, why not celebrate it? I mean, that's what supposedly those people
Right.
cover anyway. They supposedly cover content creators, and then they just like shade us when we're doing better than them.
Also, another thing, and I say this with full transparency, like I've never worked so hard in my freaking life as I have since the end of last year. In January and February, I can say truthfully, the last weekend was the first weekend I actually took off, and I still worked, but I didn't go live and I didn't create an episode on Saturday and Sunday for the first weekend since January. And it was weird because like I felt like I lost momentum on my show. I have been on this show and creating YouTubes and TikToks every single day. So has Zack. I know you guys have too. Every day. You cannot take a moment off. And it's work. We are working. It's not like we're just like living it up and just taking advantage. This is work, believe it or not. It's a lot of work. You have to actually, that's why so many creators tried to cover the Blake and Justin story day one, week one, and then fell off because they realized like we can't keep up.
Yeah.
No, it's hard work. And look, it sounds stupid to complain. We're not complaining, but
not at all. I love it.
Yeah, we love it. But for people to understand, like everyone thinks that it looks easy until they try to do this. And I've had a couple of friends who started out as fans of mine and then decided they wanted to do this. And they started doing it and they ended up, no offense to them, but falling off because very soon they realized, man, this isn't all just like getting on camera and smiling. There's a lot going on here. Anyway.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I haven't worked quite as hard as REAI, but I have been putting out a lot of shorts.
Yeah. They're just upset that, again, they're going extinct and we've outsmarted them. Okay. Really quickly, I did want to touch on the Variety article.
Wow.
So
it's crazy.
Yeah. So basically it just says that she hired Nick Shapiro, the CIA's former deputy and chief of staff and senior advisor to former director John Brennan. And so he's now, I guess, representing her for Crisis PR. What a coinkydink. Remember when she got mad that Justin Baldoni did this? How dare she hire Crisis PR?
Well,
it feels like this is a crisis PR strategy. The way that the media is orchestrating this hit on every single person that even remotely tries to go, raise a question about Blake Lively, it's insane to me.
It just shows, I think what this does show is that it has finally hit home over there at Team Lively Reynolds that they are in really, really deep shit.
Yeah.
And so to bring someone like this on who is familiar with doing like serious warfare and serious covert shit too. I mean, CIA, they staged coups and thwarted elections and things like that. So I think that people over at Team Lively Reynolds have realized that it's going to take a miracle, honestly, to help all of them out at this point to solve this problem. But I think they realize it's time to literally bring in the big guns here.
Do you think that they put that out, or like, because if I was a crisis PR person, like, I wouldn't want to be outwardly. Do you think somebody just found out that he got hired, or that they said it? Because I feel like these people are really secretive if they don't want to be tied to it. Like, it's just weird to me.
Do you think they would want to put it out there as like to intimidate people?
Yeah.
Maybe.
You guys, Shapiro, this man that they hired, launched crisis PR firm 10th Avenue Consulting. This is his bio. He helped lead the Obama administration's response to H1N1 pandemic, Sandy Hook elementary school shooting, the Gulf oil spill, Boston Marathon bombing, the Japan earthquake, tsunami and Fukushima nuclear disaster, cyber attacks, data breaches, wildfires, floods, hurricanes, and Blake Lively.
That's insane. But also shows the money that they have and that they're willing to put into this to bury this dude.
I wonder if they're going to start coming for creators. Like, I don't know.
They will.
Scary.
Yeah. I mean,
I already told Donna, though, I go, listen, we have too many different platforms and channels, and we're all kind of united and standing together, that if they come for one of us, they come for all of us. And unfortunately, we have the public that's on our side that will ride for us. Like, we're just doing our jobs in covering this. I'm sorry you don't like the way that the narrative is shifting, but you started this.
That's so cool, though, about like everybody on this panel and then all the other people too that we're friends with. I feel like it's like all ships rise together in this. Like, we're not like being catty towards one another. We're all like being friends. I feel like that's like something really cool about this case and the Johnny Depp stuff. It's like people like a good underdog story, and they like people that follow the truth. And so,
yeah.
But how can this PR man, Shapiro, what can he do? I don't know the world of PR that well.
You can wage media assassination campaigns against content creators. There are other things that I don't want to even put into the ether that one could do to make life more difficult for content creators. And so, but here's the thing, and here's where the other side is at a severe disadvantage, is that there are a lot of us. And for the most part, we don't necessarily have nearly as much to lose as their side does. And so I've gotten, threats of various kinds before from other people, even from attorneys. And my attitude is, bring it on. It's more views, because I'm going to take anything you throw at me and I'm going to air it, and I'm going to talk about it, and I'm going to make content out of it, and it's going to end up helping me. And so that's where they're at a disadvantage. And I also wanted to say one other thing. I'm glad that those of us who are covering this really have come together kind of as a family, because I saw this in Depp versus Heard, and I've seen it in other things I've covered, like the Marilyn Manson case. We are going to need each other at times, because they will go after individual people, just like it sounds like what's going to happen to y'all with this hit piece. So.
Yeah, and they're going to try to tear us apart. Like, that's another thing we have to be ready for, is they're going to try to pit us against each other. Like, it's just, I mean, but we've also seen these tricks in games so many times before. Or at least I know I have, that I'm not really surprised. Pikachu says, all you amazing people who use brain logic to make sense. I feel I have found my tribe after 37 years living in the world. It's just not about Blake and Justin. It's about how you've all unpacked this case. Respect. Thank you.
What's that emoji? I keep seeing that emoji. It's like something with the head. I'm dying.
Oh, it's like a salute.
Oh, don't do you can't.
I know. No, they're trying to make us right wing too by lumping us in with Candace Owens. I know.
Zack,
I thought about it afterwards.
Today. I was gonna say, when I starred in my own New York Times hit piece, I actually I hired a lawyer, and then that lawyer recommended crisis PR people. And when I hired the crisis PR people, it was like, I think it was like $20,000 a month. I was like basically giving my last, like, any money that the business had, and I hired them. And I don't, like, in my situation, like, there wasn't much they could do, because the other like news organizations that could have picked up the other side of the story, like, they didn't want to go against the New York Times. So what they mainly did was they helped the attorney to like write the filings, I think, in a way that was like juicy for media to pick it up. Had we sued like a certain talent agency or whatever, and then they were also like, if I had an inquiry come in, they would help me answer the questions, because the ones that came after the New York Times, we knew they were going to try to do a negative story. So they were basically like telling me, yeah, let's talk to this person or not. And if you give a quote to this person, then say it like this, because at that point, like, you're basically getting fired at from all angles and you have to be defensive. But what's interesting is like, I hired the crisis PR through the attorney specifically so that there was no paper trail, and so that crisis PR couldn't be outed. So I do think it's interesting that that they named this PR company, and I think whoever said that it was for like as a threatening type of thing, maybe that's why. I can't imagine why they would just outwardly say who it was, because there is a way to hide it.
Yeah.
Maybe thinking it'll intimidate. Yeah.
Yeah, and I also just think from what we've seen in some of the legal filings, from the footnotes, I mean, perfect example is the 5 mistresses thing. It's possible that crisis PR has been part of this for a minute. But the thing is, I feel like so much of their games are traditional PR, traditional media, traditional crisis, that it's not where the times are. Where the times are, it's social media and fast moving and being able to just get on your phone, go live on Instagram and tell your side of the story in the moment, right?
Right. It is such an arms race too with all of this that I think you're pointing out, Zack, correctly, that the other side is really still behind the times with this. And so, and the thing that Ari mentioned about how in her experience, the crisis PR people didn't really do much. That's my experience with some crisis PR people that I have known of or known about, witnessing the way that they operate, is that they charge a lot of money, but they really don't do much. Now, maybe in this situation with the high powered teams that Baldoni and Blake Lively have, maybe it's a whole different ballgame. Maybe that's what they're trying to announce with the CIA guy, is like, look out here, we're getting serious, we're going to try to get next level. But my question is, does this CIA guy know his way around TikTok? I mean,
Right. It's true. It's like people aren't evolving, but I'm sure, I mean, I don't know. I just remember when like Rose McGowan was getting smeared by Harvey Weinstein, and they hired, I think, like ex-Mossad agents to like infiltrate her women's group, I think, to get information out of her. Like they're willing to do crazy stuff. So I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if this team is willing to do a lot, although they've been called out by name. So how are they going to get away with it if they do something nefarious? It's just weird to me.
Do you think we're giving them too much credit for having their shit together? Do you think it's possible that they really still are on their back feet? And yeah, they can say they got some CIA guy, and there's lots of people who've worked in government, but maybe also I still think it's possible that they're still behind the curve on this. I don't know.
I also heard that from a very good source that Jed Wallace is like a beast. Like people, I'm like, I heard that,
and he's with
Ray Donovan. He's Ray Donovan.
He's with the times.
It's an interesting thing that they decided. I don't know how long they've been working with this PR person, but everything that Blake Lively's team feels like they're doing is just delayed. Like I feel like Brian Friedman and even hiring Melissa Nathan, I don't believe in my heart, I don't believe that Justin Baldoni did actually, execute a smear campaign. I don't believe that in my heart, but I do believe that he was one step ahead. His team was one step ahead this entire time. Like Melissa Nathan, we saw the text, was always saying, if we need to, we have a plan. If we need to, here's the plan. He hired Melissa Nathan when he saw that shit was getting bad. When he saw that Ryan Reynolds was on the attack and going to William Morris and going to parties and saying he was a sexual predator, etc. He brought Brian Friedman, who was still is playing chess when everyone else is playing checkers. Leslie Sloan is still in 1994 in her techniques. And her attorneys are playing really, really bad attorney games, I think. So everything she's doing is behind. And I still think this PR game, like, why didn't she bring on this PR team 3 months ago when things started to get a little shady and dicey? This is still too late. Like, it's all been done.
Yeah.
How are you going to now? You can't erase our memories.
Maybe that's what
No,
the
but they
CIA
want
guy is there for.
That's what
They
they
want
want
to
when
do total
she
recall. They
when
want to go
she
into our brains and like
rewrote
erase.
in her amended complaint, when she completely rewrote what the incident of him smelling her and saying she smelled so good. It was like a couple of sentences in the original complaint, and then in her amended complaint, the story was like completely rewritten to go frame by frame, because they released the footage of the Daily Mail, and to say frame by frame, see, this is exactly what made, she's making a joke here, but you see her making a joke because she's uncomfortable. And it's like, no, she just makes bad jokes all the time. Like, that's just who she is. She's not very funny, but she is in her head.
Yeah.
And they don't want to admit that, like, when you have the truth on your side, it's a lot easier. I mean, it doesn't matter what kind of crisis PR person you have. If you have the truth on your side, it's going to be a bit easier. And the other thing, too, is like, if Baldoni's team amplified negative articles about Blake Lively that were true, how is that a retaliation campaign? That's just marketing. That's just
right. Even if what they allege is true, which I don't think it is, like it's still. So what are you telling me that was done that was wrong?
That's another question, by the way.
100,000 followers, by the way. So did they send her bots and then the bots unfollowed? Like, that makes no sense.
Another question about someone said in the comments about that's why people are trusting YouTube creators versus, legacy media. In this publication that was interviewing Zack and I yesterday, they asked, like, why do you guys think that your channels are growing and people are coming to you? And I said, because we don't have to go through the ranks of getting our things published. Like, I asked, when is this article going to come out that you're interviewing us? And he's like, probably in the next 3 to 4 weeks. I'm like, that I may be dead. I don't know. I mean, at that point, God knows. Oh my God, seriously, with the CIA person, like literally knocking on one. But also it's like, at the same time, like, we decided, let's talk. We're here talking. The CIA article came out on Variety. We're talking about it. It's already out there in the public. We don't have to go through anyone. We say our opinion. You got the leaked footage, which we were going to get into today, about the William Morris, Ari Emanuel talking on Freakonomics that they can't put out there because the powers that be stop them. You put it out there. Like, there is no higher command. We are our own bosses. We're not scared of the people above us. That's why they're coming to us, because there's no one controlling us. There's no puppet masters or whatever above us. And we're the biggest. They've never been so scared.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
And he asked me too, he's like, wow, you're so into this and you read the court documents. And he's just like, and so, he's like, I'm just curious, like, what is your, do you have a degree in any of this? And I was like, there it is. You're trying to discredit.
Oh, God.
What degree do you have, Zack?
Every question he asked you should have asked it right back. Where did you go to law school, sir?
Yeah.
Wait, Zack, do you have a degree in anything? Seriously, I want to know.
No, I told him I was a college dropout. But like,
he's going to use that. He's going to use it. College dropout, Zack Peter.
Oh my God.
That's the thing. Like, for me, if I'm doing better than you and you went to school and got your degree and you're doing the journalism thing in the classic route and it didn't work out, then one of us did something fucking wrong. Sorry. Like, that's just, let's call it what it is now.
Well, I have a PhD in English, seriously, so he can come interview me.
Dr. Colonel.
Dr. Colonel.
But what I told him though,
that just shows their limited old world mentality. But I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, but what I told him was, I was like, what am I doing? I go, I'm showing the audience, I'm showing the public the actual documents, and we go through them together and we come to our conclusions together. I go, that's not what legacy media is doing. They're not showing you the documents. They're feeding you their interpretation of it, right? So when I give people the documents and they're able to access it for themselves, that's why they trust me, because I give the information and I put it in their hands so that they have it.
You should have said, you know what, I'm a minority gay man and I'm
there it
succeeding, so you should be really, happy for me. Do you not support minorities? Do you not support? That's what you should have said.
Seriously, use that card. No.
Yeah, turn it back on them.
Like, it's so predictable. What what would he say? I wish I had more chutzpah when the stuff was happening to me. I should have been like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm a minority woman, and they're targeting me. So what are we saying about that?
No, seriously though, use it back at them. But what else did he ask you? Is there anything else that pops out? It's kind of interesting.
I can't remember. It was a long interview because I would say 90% of it I was fighting back and was like very much standing my ground. And then in that last little bit, I was like, you know what? Let's see what he does. And so I was like, let me give him what he wants. I'm like, yeah, this is, you want to know how much I grew on Instagram? This is where I started 3 months ago, and now here's where the following is at now. Like, what do you want to? Let me give you the information and do what you think you're gonna do with it, and let's see how this plays out. Because this is, I don't think it's going to play out the way that you think it is. This isn't the gotcha moment that you think you're going to find. It's not like nobody that watches or listens to my show. It's not like what the smoking gun is that we made money off of this and we had a little bump in income this month. The audience is going to be shocked by that. What?
Right. No,
he
the
kept
audience
asking about super chats on this. He's like,
Oh, he
"Do you make
did.
a lot of money off of super chats."
He asked that a
I don't really
bunch.
use super chats. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
he
they're
did.
annoyed. I think the mainstream media are really annoyed by super chats because this was something they harped on in their gotcha articles and Debt versus Herd about the content creators, is how much they thought some of us were making in super chats. I think that it really bothers them that they don't have access as poorly paid journalists. They don't have access
tips.
to other income streams and tips. Yeah, no, I think
Yeah.
it does.
Yeah.
Yeah. And YouTube takes a big cut of those super chats.
Yeah, I know.
So,
It's like almost half or something. Yeah. Anyway.
yeah. So it's not like if somebody sends you $5, you're putting that $5 straight in your pocket. Okay. But I do, Kristen, you were able to dig up something that the legacy media was not, and I didn't expect them to reveal this, but it's this leaked audio from this Freakonomics live podcast that I talked about it yesterday on the podcast, from Ari, who represents Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds, and WME obviously formerly represented Justin Baldoni. So I'm going to play the audio in its full and then we can react to it. But the interesting thing is the Freakonomics host came out and said that there was this, very rare circumstance that prevented them from being able.
Never in his career or the history of the show had this happened.
Yeah, where they just they weren't able to record it. They didn't record it. What a coinkydink, right?
It's the wildest story.
Yeah. So somebody did record it. Presumably, I think this was on an iPhone. So I'm going to play the audio for us and then we'll react.
I wonder if you could tell us about a little bit of a mess that I gather you've been involved in.
Oh, yeah. I know where you're going with this one.
Do you have notes on it?
Oh, yeah. Those are the two things I said to myself, this could come up.
Okay, so I have to admit, I don't keep up that much on Hollywood. But even I caught wind of the Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds. Let the record show for those listening at home, Ari just slit his throat.
I mean, it's a fucked up, bad situation that Baldoni, whatever his name is doing. And his partner.
Now, he was your client too, until recently.
Yeah, until I fired him.
Right. Just give a little bit of backstory.
It's not really fair. I've known Ryan and Blake for over a decade. They're really incredible people. In Hollywood, they have been incredibly successful. People work with them. They've never had any bad mojo out there and treated people badly. They kind of are charitable because we help them with their foundation. They give them tons of money away. If what is alleged in her lawsuit that happened on social media, just because she complained to the studio that things were unhealthy on the set, that he was director and this man was the producer, and they did to her what they're being alleged, they're really bad people. And Blake, I know Blake, I know Ryan, they're actually good people. Now, social media is a really good thing at times, because it lets people, stars, connect with their fans. But these two guys used it in an evil way, if that's true. And we just have to be cognizant that you can ruin, and they should no longer be out there intimidating people, using social media now and trying to hurt them, and using their what they have been doing prior to it now to go against them. They should just stop, since they think they're innocent, and let the process play itself out. These are good people that have been in the business for decades and have never had any bad press about them, and all the people they work with like them. And so, if it's true what they're saying in that allegation, these are two bad guys.
This concerns the making of a film where there's sex scenes and there's, I guess, what is called in Hollywood an intimacy coordinator.
They didn't have much. I mean, and then they went after him on social media. It's disgusting.
Can I just say this is very juvenile, but when I first read that and I knew I was going to be talking to you, I was trying to picture like Ari Emanuel on set as an intimacy coordinator. Is that a role, a job you
No, I mean,
could do well?
It is actually not a joke. I mean, that's actually an important role. She felt that she was not being protected. She complained, and then these people tried to go after her. They should stop. And they're still trying to do it, and they should stop.
And what was your role? Did you fire him as a
I fired him. I'm a ride or die. And they're good people. Yeah.
All right. I know you have a plane to get on. Do you want to tell us where you're going, Money Chance?
I'm going to the 50th anniversary of SNL. I can't wait.
Yeah.
50th anniversary SNL. Wow, that went great.
Can't wait. Wow, who else was there? Oh, that's right. Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively were also there.
Wait, one of the comments just said something that's so interesting. Kelly, I believe in the comments. She said, something is so telling about this. In the Freakonomics transcript that they did release, he said the sound system completely didn't work and we didn't have microphones.
Right.
That's fully.
You can
mic'd
hear that
up.
this is in a, yeah.
So there were two things. Apparently, this is the story, and I only know it because I watched that apology video a couple of times. It is, and it's so convoluted, and it's all over the place, and it takes forever, and I'm very suspicious of it. But the story they gave is that there were two sets of issues. Initially, there was an issue with no microphones or whatever, but they got that
PA,
fixed.
yeah.
The PA. Then once that was resolved, they tape it. They think everything's fine, and then he says his editor afterwards runs to him like tears streaming, or she's about to hyperventilate.
A face he's never seen before.
Yes, never seen before. And she says it didn't record. They didn't record it. So again, I think it's bullshit. I posted something on X yesterday saying it was, and then I pulled it because I was like, well, I'll put my video out explaining everything. But to me, it sounds.
Wait, you mean as a creator, you're trying to make money?
I know, guilty as charged, but no, like the fact that it just happened to be the one time when you had the most powerful man in Hollywood who stepped deep into some shit, implicated himself legally and others, and also made what could be a racial slur, or some, at least Lady Colin Campbell had pointed this out toward Baldoni. You're telling me that the one time that all of that happened is when you just happened to not record it? Very unlikely. Very unlikely.
Unreal. I don't believe it for a second. I was talking to my husband about this too. My husband likes Freakonomics. He listens to it, and we were just chatting about it. And it's like the chances that in 2025, when like Giggly Squad can get their podcasts up and watch what Crappens does their live shows, when Zack can do his live shows at the Bourbon Room, like no problem. Come on.
Right.
And trust me, we do walkthroughs before every show. We make sure everything. It's just so funny that there are all these technical glitches, like the Hollywood Reporter that just changed Jenny Slate's complaint to like suddenly a benign incident that made her uncomfortable, and they're just like, "Oh, that was a technical glitch that changed the article 4 fucking times."
They think we're stupid. Go ahead.
No, and nothing he said was shocking because we had heard all of it from the People article and from the reporter that had reported it. Like nothing he said was new. What's crazy now is that we actually just have actual audio evidence now. We don't have just hearsay. It's literal audio evidence.
And that audio, I just want to say, it did come from a reporter who was there in the audience for a major publication. And I'm not sure why this person didn't want to put their name to it. I can imagine some reasons. But the person actually who tracked this down for me, Citizen Journalist, might be in your chat. Citizen Journalist, their handle is CJournalist24 on Twitter. I just want to give them a shout out because they do great work, and I'm sure that you've communicated with them too. But anyway, very lucky to get that. And look, this is great because now we actually have evidence that he confessed to this. Ari Emanuel confessed that he fired Baldoni out of deference, ride or die deference to Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively.
Did he fire Baldoni or Bologna? We're not sure.
We're not sure. Well, those are the things. Here are the things that stood out to me. Is that he admits that he knew that this question was going to come up, which tells me that this wasn't like a flippant, like, oh, I'm caught off guard. I said something stupid. I don't know. So he knew from, because they even asked him, like, did do you have notes on it? And he says, oh yeah. Then he goes in, he calls Justin Baldoni Baloney, and is like, whatever his name is, acts like he doesn't know his name, even though Justin Baldoni was and Wayfair were clients of WME. And then he, I believe twice, correct me if I'm wrong, Kristen, but he twice says that he fired Justin Baldoni. He calls him evil. He says, if that's true, so he kind of protects himself in the middle of it, but he makes it very clear that he's ride or die for Blake and Ryan. And the other interesting thing too is he's like, there's never been any bad press about them. I'm like, really? So then why do we all know that Blake Lively has been a diva to work with and has been in a number of feuds with, you know, Leighton Meester, Anna Kendrick, Penn Badgley, Armie Hammer.
It's ridiculous. It's funny. And it just shows how easily, I hate to say it, how easily these people lie, because that rolled off his tongue twice in that same interview. He said this, well, I've never had a problem. No one's ever had a problem. Never any bad mojo around them. And meanwhile, you've got people lining up around the block on the internet, basically. With stories.
This was recorded February 14th. This is not like in December before all the stuff started coming out of the closet. This is way into TikTok times. I call it TikTok times, that started exposing everything. So he's saying it like as if, and you know what's so funny? And I think it was like one of the first things that he said in that audio. He's like, I don't really pay attention to too much. What do you say? I don't pay attention to too much Hollywood.
I don't really follow. I don't really
follow celebrity stuff too much.
I'm just
You're the head of William Morris. What do you mean you don't follow?
Actually, that's like incompetence there. And I don't know what his deal was. That was an extremely ineffective, damaging interview for him and his clients. And it really makes me think pretty poorly of his PR operation. It makes me, I mean, no wonder they're bringing in CIA agents.
So yeah, no shit.
But maybe he's covering the cost.
What I think happened
for this
at this thing is, I think that this host of Freakonomics believes that the audio doesn't exist. What I think happened is, because again, done a number of live shows, toured all throughout 2022, toured all throughout 2023. We'll be going back on tour this year. Thank you. I was going to shout out the reporter, but I'm not going to say his name. Shout out to the reporter that thinks we're capitalizing off of this, going on my third tour. But so what I think happened is PR was probably there, probably PR for, oh, Ari's back. Probably PR. She got some hot tea because the live chat was like, she needs some tea.
Oh, I was like, she got tea for us? What does she have?
No, actual tea. But I think either Ari has a personal publicist or WME has a PR firm that was there, because this is technically considered press, right? Even though it's on stage, it's a live podcast. I think publicist was there. And usually, you know, when I do interviews with people, they bring their PR team, they bring their publicist if it's an in-person recording, and the publicist likes to sit in the room. And I learned this very early on, that I will always make sure the publicist is not within eye shot with me, so that I can ask the questions that I want to ask without the publicist being like, no, you know, trying to, you know, cut from anything. But sometimes they'll be taking notes or they'll be listening in, so that afterwards they could say, can you please cut this, or can you not air this, or whatever it is. I think what happened was, there was likely, this is all my conjecture, right? I don't know this is fact, it's speculation, but what I think happened is they probably saw this bit, they knew that it was going to go south, and so what they did was they told them, this cannot air, you cannot release this, you cannot air this, you know. And it was probably very intimidating for the editor, whoever was running production at this event. And they said, just say that the audio didn't capture, because I can also tell you, they're going to make sure that there's multiple types of recordings that are happening at these types of events.
Well, and the other thing that complicates this too, and may go along with your theory, is that the people who, according to the host story, the people who are actually responsible for the recording were the venue people, not the Freakonomics team. And so when the editor came to him and said they didn't record it, she was basically, the story is that she was thrown off because she was not in charge of this. And so I wonder if this was the venue, and listen, it was the Wilshire, it was on Wilshire, it was some big LA venue. I wonder if Ari or his people got to the venue people and said, no, you're not, this did not record.
I need to understand how powerful Ari Emanuel is. Like, I will even say, when this whole thing came about, I already had beef with UTA, which is another huge talent agency. There's basically like 3 big ones. And I'm like, well, if I ever want to do anything in Hollywood, like, I don't know if I want to start beef with WME as well, you know, but I've always like thought since the beginning of this, like, I mean, I really believe that whoever Justin Baldoni's direct agent was. If he's working for Ari Emanuel and he or she still works at WME, like that agent must have given everything to WME, like anything that they were working on, you know what I mean? Like any conversations that person was privy to, which if it's your agent, usually they're privy to a lot of conversations. You guys have to just imagine that all that information was given to Ari and WME and the Lively side of things. But yeah, it is like the Entourage. I know I'm probably dating myself because the young people didn't watch Entourage, but this was like the most cutthroat person in Hollywood. And I remember, because I'm friends with Kevin Dillon, who was one of the actors in that show, and they were saying like this show was only like a tenth of what real Hollywood is, like what they showed in that show of all the terrible things that people were willing to do to one another behind each other's backs and stab each other in the back and all that. That was just like a small percentage of what actually really happens in Hollywood. And this is the guy that show is based on.
I guess here's my question though, Ari, and that's really interesting, great information. If Ari Emanuel is such a hardcore mother, then why would he let himself make such a rookie mistake as blabbing this BS that he did at this? I mean, to me, I almost wondered, was the guy drunk or what's going on? Does he have dementia? What's going on with him that he thought it was a good idea to get on this stage in a public event and talk about this stuff in this way? So has he just become, is he such an egotist that he can't see his own flaws or his own errors now, Ari?
I have a really strange theory, but it's like sticking in the back of my corner of my head that have to go with. And Ari, I think your voice sounds great, by the way. For anyone that's like in the comments, like hating on your voice, I think it's sexy and you sound like Demi Moore.
I'm just going to assume they're talking about the other Ari if they're talking crap.
Yeah, exactly. If they're talking crap, I'm referring you. Send it to Daryl. Okay. So right before this happened, Ari Emanuel and William Morris were being strangely quiet, if you notice. And remember, Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds, who do they have in their corner right now? They have their agent, they have their manager, and they have their publicists. Mm-hmm. Of course, they have their attorneys too. Their attorneys are working on the case. Their publicist is getting sued. And their manager is silent. I mean, we're not hearing anything. And their agents are silent. We're not hearing anything from anyone. Right before this happened, on the night of, I want to say it was like the Grammys, actually on the night of, maybe it was the Golden Globes, it was something on that night, Ryan Reynolds posts on Instagram a picture of him at a JP Morgan event. Out of nowhere, he posts a picture of him with his arm around someone named Brian Lord, who is the head of CAA. He's at some big event in Canada.
He's like an Ari for another, yeah, right.
Brian Lord is the head of the opposing agent. CAA and William Morris and UTA, these are like the top dogs, right? You put your arm around Brian Lord, that is a direct threat. That's like being a man who's with a woman and then putting your arm around another woman saying, hey, wife, I want to make you jealous, right? This is a moment where you're all of a sudden saying, I think that's an indirect way of saying, and maybe he was hired to be there. I'm sure he was paid to be at this JP Morgan event, but to post a picture, public picture with your arm around the head of CA. Now, I have a source, can't say who, that told me that the next Monday when I saw this person, they said, your boyfriend, and they were joking about Ryan Reynolds, your boyfriend has a meeting at William Morris on Monday. That's what they said. And I said, really? Oh, okay. I have a feeling, and this was the week of February 14th, the Monday of that Friday. In my mind, in my like delusional mind, I think that Ryan Reynolds came into William Morris and said, listen, I'm jumping ship if you don't fucking start saying something loudly and proudly for me and Blake. And Ari was like, I can't lose him. This is going to screw William Morris. And had no choice but to be screaming out about how much he loves Ryan. I don't know if he was thinking straight about it, but I think that is the only thing that makes sense.
That's fascinating. And honestly, then that would make it another unforced error committed by Team Lively Reynolds, because that did not work and it just got them into deeper shit with what Ari said. But here's my question, though, to follow up on that.
Digging up now, like Ari's past behavior and past cases settled. And I mean, Brian Friedman also has something like that. But I mean, it is just like, I don't think that those executives, though, really, I think that they think they're a bit better than the internet. I think they control the media, the mainstream media. And, you know,
Which
if you
they can, but nobody pays attention to them.
exactly, but they can't control anybody here on this panel. So, and I don't think, I think that they live in this like little bubble. I don't think that they're thinking, 10 years ahead, where it's like, when you want to sign the Gen Zers and all these people, maybe they're not going to sign with you if they remember that you were the bad guy on this, story. But at the same time, they know how powerful they are. Like, in a way, it's like it doesn't really bother them that much. They're like, there's no way that this Baldoni thing is going to like destroy my agency, which is like, survived probably a million
scandals.
Yeah.
This is nothing for them right now. You guys, I think, and that's another thing. And I'm sorry to I don't mean to hog the mic right now, but this is another thing for us that are reporting on it every day. And for the commenters that are obsessed with this story, this feels like the biggest thing in the world. But for William Morris, who has survived, who is like, Diddy.
Yeah.
And so many other huge scandals, you guys.
Don't they still represent Diddy?
I don't know. A lot of people.
Someone in the live chat said that they still represent Diddy.
Yeah. There's so many crazy scandals that William
But Baldoni
Morris
was too far. Bologna was too far.
It was, but like, this is nothing. This is such nothing.
But Dana, I'm sorry, Donna, you were saying though, that they were afraid that William Morris might have been afraid to lose Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively. If this is nothing, then why care so much whether you use Ryan or not? I'm not arguing with you. I'm just trying to figure out the.
I think Ryan is a huge money maker for them.
Oh,
I don't think they want to lose Ryan, and I think that they have a lot of package deals with Ryan. Ryan brings a lot of money for a lot of reasons, like Sony. William Morris. I think
had a movie going with him at the time as well, right? At the time that this movie was,
I think they're doing Clue.
Yeah,
I think that they have a
Disney,
lot
Marvel.
of stuff.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I think losing Ryan and losing Maximum Effort and losing all the different things, they probably have like 20 different things in development. It's a big loss to lose Ryan Reynolds. He is probably one of the bigger money makers.
I see.
And also its reputation, right? Because like right now, William Morris, if they lost Bologna, if they lose Baldoni, and then they also lose Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds, and they're implicated in this suit for this reason, it just kind of looks like they're fair weather. And then they lost, like it's a reputation. Right. And then their clients maybe feel like, oh, we don't feel safe. Like you don't have our back. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, I definitely do feel like there has been a real dearth or lack of PR being done for Team Blake Lively. Maybe they're trying behind the scenes, and of course they've gotten some articles, it seems like, placed that are more favorable to them. But I do think they've really been behind the curve. But I don't know what's going to get them caught up. I mean, even the CIA guy. I mean, what? Yeah, let's say they start amping up some of these hit pieces on content creators or whatever, but there will always be a natural organic appetite for this story. Let's say that all four of us went away in some way. The CIA guy kidnapped us and took us to his holding room. Well, you're going to have four more people
that'll jump on right after us, because it's not even just us, it's the public that's sleuthing and going, and there are too many of us to even keep track of. This is from CJ, citizen journalist, supporting that money making, creators supporting other creators is what I love about you guys, living for this town hall with everyone here. I hope we get more.
Thank you.
Yes. Anything else we wanted to close the Ari Emanuel WME piece on?
Oh, I don't. I want to. At one point, I'm going to use the rest of my voice to tell my theory on that whole Reese Witherspoon "Hello Sunshine" thing.
Oh, please, because this is a good theory.
Okay.
Everyone, you guys, gird your loins. Okay, she's using her voice.
So this whole time, I've been thinking like, you always have to follow the money trail, right? I always think like, who is benefiting? What would be the theory? Or if I was representing Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively, I used to be a talent agent. So I'm like, what would be the benefit here for them in that time when they were thinking of like, let's smear Baldoni or let's go with this New York Times thing? Anyway, when was it? I think it was like in 2021. Reese Witherspoon starts this company called Hello Sunshine. It's now been sold for $900 million to a media company backed by Blackstone Group. And basically, from what I understand, it started as like a book club for women. And then essentially, Reese Witherspoon started this book club with these authors. And then she garnered the rights, the movie rights to all of these book projects. And so I wonder, like, if something does well in Hollywood, people want to redo it, right? It's always like, if something makes $900 million, you're like, how do we basically clone, copy, and repeat this project? And I wonder if they saw the rise of Hello Sunshine and they're like, why don't we do that with, this is going to be a Me Too story. This is going to be a great line in. And if you think about it, I mean, I was telling Zack, women drive 70 to 80% of purchase decisions. So when I used to rep like Bachelor stars, because their audience is mainly like women over 25 in the US and Canada, like brands pay the most money for that. So Ryan seems to be someone that wants to, start the gin company, like after, they did the tequila companies. It's like he wants to be a brand. And I think that what they were missing is like a women's brand, because that's what really brings in the dollars. And so I wonder if the idea was, whether it's we try to get the rights to It Ends With Us, the sequel, or we just do new books with Colleen Hoover. Like, this is going to basically, I don't know, that's what I would be thinking if, God forbid I ever was like that conniving, and I wouldn't be, but that it's just a theory, but in a business sense, that's what I would have been thinking about.
Yeah, I think it's a smart theory. I mean, listen, they're going to follow the money and they're going to go with what they think the trends are going to be. And I think, we've seen it with Emma Roberts. I know Emma Roberts is a fan of Donna's. We've seen it with Emma Roberts. We've seen it with Reese Witherspoon, that they tap into this market of, it used to be true crime was really big, and then that kind of really got monopolized. And so now I think the book club moms are what they want to go for next. And they're going to adapt these into a series and into films. And I think the one person that did that brilliantly was Reese Witherspoon with Hello Sunshine. And so it's more of a trend that we're starting to see come out more. I think we just saw photos of Verity with Anne Hathaway from the set, that those have come out. That's another Colleen Hoover book that they're currently, making into another production. So I think there's a lot of,
apparently she has 3
there.
movies right now in production, or like in development and production, Colleen Hoover.
Yeah.
Why is she so popular? I'm sorry, I just totally don't get the appeal. Are her books really? I mean, because I don't like the movie.
Well,
This Ends With
that's
Us.
like 50 Shades of Grey, right?
Well,
Like,
It's like Danielle Steele of our generation. You know how our
gotcha.
parents all read Danielle Steele books? Well, my mom didn't, but like a lot of that generation, they obsessed over them, and just like,
I gotcha.
and I think what happened was, it was during COVID, and it was like a perfect storm, right? Like she knocked them out, and they were, I think, either free or like $1.99 on Kindle.
Okay.
So everyone constantly was buying them.
What I think happened too is it's like, and this goes to the buying power of this demographic. Once one mom reads the book and shares it with another, and then there's a book club, and then there's a Facebook group, and then it just kind of takes off like wildfire. And it's not so much that the quality or the content is really good. It's just becoming popular, right? And it's just like 50 Shades of Grey, terribly written book, wildly popular, multiple films that came out of that.
Verity was good. I have to be honest. The audio version of Verity like kept me on my toes. I didn't love It Ends With Us as much as Verity. Like, I like that thriller kind of. So I hope that's good. Although I am not a Hatha lover.
It's not my genre anyway, too. I shouldn't knock it. It's completely This Ends With Us is like diametrically the opposite of the kinds of movies I like.
I find it interesting that Colleen Hoover gets attached to Blake Lively and Anne Hathaway, who the public just like loathes. Remember, Anne Hathaway was like so hated in Hollywood. She had to like go away and like rehab her image.
But now, like, compared, I feel like I'm gonna be like, I love you, Anne. Calma. Do you remember that clip? Calma.
Donna, put your hand down. They're gonna say you're a Nazi.
No.
Ari Emanuel is coming after you. Just calling you.
Right, it's gonna say Donna did this.
Oh, they're gonna get you.
Who's Anne Hathaway's agent? No, seriously, is she with Ari? We have to find out.
I don't know. Ooh.
But remember when she went to Italy and she came out of her car and there was all the Italian paparazzi and she was like, calma, calma. It's my favorite clip of Anne Hathaway. I did it with one hand. Someone said Donna Musk. Oh no!
That's it. Reddit's gonna run with it. Anne Hathaway has multiple agents.
I'm wearing a Jewish star, everyone.
Anne Hathaway, her agents are Donovan Tatum, Joe Makata, Josh Lieberman, and Rick Lucas.
But at William Morris, where is she? That's where we need to
I don't
know. I'm convinced that every single person is at William Morris. I'm convinced that Mark Zuckerberg is at William Morris because my Meta got shut down. That's another thing, you guys. So everyone is reporting all of these people, I'm convinced, because all of the creators that are talking about this have been in Instagram jail in the last week or two.
No one has been able to figure out, at least from in my DMs or anything, like who was Justin Baldoni's actual agent at WME. I'm so curious.
I can find out.
Oh, okay, good.
I'm going to find out.
On or on IMDb Pro?
No, you can't find out that way. It's like it's not there.
So
but I'm gonna find out.
Someone sent me an old article where his agent's first name, Patrick, is mentioned, but it was just a first name. But it said it referenced the agent sitting next to him or something like that. But anyway, it was Patrick, the first name Patrick, at least in this article. I have a question. We saw that exchange between Amy Schumer and Blake Lively, and I know people read it different ways, but I thought Amy Schumer was trying to be supportive. Do you think that Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds are getting a lot of support behind the scenes emotionally No, you think people are staying the hell away?
I think, because here's the thing, we would have had, and I've said this before, like we would have totally had a movement that they would have rallied around her, like we did with Me Too, like we did with Time's Up. Like I think Hollywood is the most performative, and I think so many of them, we saw like Brandon Sklenar, Colleen Hoover, the Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants cast, they all endorsed her and backed her when the CRD complaint first came out. And since then, I don't think anybody wants to touch them except, who do we have? Chevy Chase, who's posing and taking selfies with it. Like,
and Dakota Johnson. Dakota Johnson took a picture.
Wow. I think Amy Schumer was just being polite. Because like you also have to realize, like, everything you do at these events, like there's photographers and iPhones and cameras everywhere, that like you just have to play it smart, where you're like, shit, I run into her and now she's hugging me, and like, let me at least be kind and supportive. And I don't know.
What do y'all think she and Ryan were aiming for going to that thing? Did they not know that they would be kind of just basically a laughingstock no matter what they did, and that people would be incensed, some people, if they were there? Like, what do you think they were trying to show? Just, we're still in the club?
That basically? They can be there. We're still in the Cool Kids Club. Justin Baldoni will never be in the Cool Kids Club. We're going to walk this carpet to show that, we're still powerful. We can still have a seat at the king's table.
Right.
What about today's legal filing?
Yeah, I was gonna ask.
So let's dive into those really quickly. So I'm not going to dive into the filings. I guess the recap, because Justin Baldoni's team just issued 2 new letters to the judge responding to them. So I'll pull those up in a sec. But I guess what the judge determined, what he ruled partially in favor of Blake Lively, like part of it was granted and part of it was denied. And so the scope that she's trying to get, the whole 2.5 years, the judge did not grant that. I believe he limited it to July of last year. So she just got, that's not even a year of discovery that she can pull up. And so they also are limiting the scope in terms of, I believe they cannot, correct me if I'm wrong, cannot access non-parties' phone records, correct? I believe they can only access the parties that are named in the suit, like Jennifer Abel, Melissa Nathan, Jed. Well, I don't know if Jed Wallace is technically part of this, because he's not named in this specific lawsuit. Or I guess they added him, so they're trying to dig him into it too. Yeah. I mean, with all the changes to her amendments, but I mean, they've just narrowed the scope. She doesn't have the big fishing expedition that she has, but she is allowed to move forward with some sort of subpoenas. And Justin Baldoni's team just responded. So let me pull those up and we'll read through.
So basically she gets a little bit, but she doesn't get as much as she wanted.
Correct.
So they both kind of get a win and they both kind of get a loss.
Yeah.
I mean, her request went so far back and it was so encompassing.
Well, I think part of what it was too is I heard Dave Neal talking about it on his podcast this morning, or in his YouTube channel this morning, saying that, it's possible that they wanted the net to be so wide to say that maybe Jed Wallace was using different burner phones and other numbers that, weren't his primary numbers, since he claimed that his work is untraceable, that they wanted to see if there was correspondence with a number of other people. Okay, so here's the letter.
I mean, it's interesting because like when I sued Taylor Lorenz, she always said she had like burner phones, and I don't remember, like, we didn't get that in discovery. I mean, how do you I don't know.
I don't even know how you prove a burner.
Right.
One of the burners is the phone. Okay, so this is from Baldoni's team to Judge Lehman. We represent Wayfair Studios, okay, all the people, as well as non-parties Tara Hanks, Malika, I don't know how to pronounce that. There's a number of other collective Wayfair employees. Interesting. Have we seen these names before? Tara, Malika, and Jerice, each of whom is employed by Wayfair Studios. In an order dated February 28th, the court granted the Wayfair party's motion to quash subpoenas issued by Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds to cellular providers AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile, to the extent that they seek phone records of the Wayfair parties, and denied the motion as to the portions of the subpoenas which seek the phone records of non-parties. The subpoenas seek the phone records of the Wayfair employees. The Wayfair employees object to the subpoenas for the same reasons set forth by the Wayfair parties. We respectively request that the court so ordered this letter quashing the portions of the subpoenas which seek the records of the Wayfair employees. So it seems like for whatever reason, they wanted Tara, Malika, and Jerice's phone records, which now it seems Brian Friedman is now representing them, or at least this letter was filed in response to their request to subpoena their phone records. I feel like this doesn't make them look too good if they're saying that there are other people whose phone records they don't want to hand over if they don't have anything to hide. How do you guys take it?
According to people in the comments, they're saying that some lawyers that covered it, who are the lawyers here on YouTube? Two lawyers. The two lawyers
yeah.
said it was a big win for Baldoni.
The fact that the scope has been widened, yeah, or the scope has been narrowed, yes, that is a win for Baldoni, because if she is on a fishing expedition, then it doesn't appear that she has anything, and she's not going to find anything if she has to narrow the scope to just these people. And if she's only looking for the phone records, I highly doubt she's going to find anything nefarious in there. I think she was hoping to find other information that she can use against them. So yes, this overall is a win for Baldoni's team, but we do have this other one, because one of these letters, I believe, is an endorsement, and the other one, I believe, is the objection. I think we just read the objection. Okay, so this is also from Wayfair's team. We represent Wayfair and Co. and Tara, Malika, Jerice in a date order. Or wait, this is the one I just read. Sorry, wrong one.
I wonder if they're trying to, since they signed that 17-point letter or whatever, I wonder if they're trying to catch one of like the Wayfair employees of like doing something that broke that, because which would be like pretty messed up, considering like I don't even know, I don't know their roles, but I guess technically you could say, oh, you breached your contract because XYZ employee said something sarcastic. I forget even the 17 points, but you could
17 that turned into 30 that are now 20.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You could maybe claim like somebody on your team broke that, which
wouldn't make sense.
I don't know. They're what is it called? They're pulling at straws now, or what's that saying?
Grasping at straws. Yeah. I feel like these letters are exactly the same. They're basically just saying that they don't want to allow. So the scope was narrowed to just the Wayfair parties, and then I guess they were trying to add these three other people, Tara, Malika, and Jerice, and Baldoni's team is just trying to prevent them from getting access to those as well. But I guess she does have some access to a narrower scope, not the 2.5 years that she wanted, but dating back to July. CJ says one of the letters is the others.
Is just a response.
Is just a response, yeah.
One of is the letter, the others is just a response.
Got it. So that's where we're at right now.
MP says, you guys, get it right. Major win for Baldoni. Get it right.
We're breaking this down live. Like we're reacting live. We did not get a chance. I literally got these documents in the middle of this live, and so we didn't get to read it or understand it, and that's why we're reading it together.
You're really going to activate the people on Threads.
Oh, CJ says Lively's team has until March 4th to respond. I mean, I honestly, and Donna and I have this conversation every day because I'm like, are we crazy? The media keeps coming after us saying that we're crazy. Is there a smoking gun that she has somewhere? And like, where is she hiding it?
Well, I was going to say though, like you have to remember with the mainstream media coverage, there are a lot of them who are still promoting the idea that Amber Heard was the victim in that whole scenario with Johnny Depp, and that a great injustice, I should say, was done to her. And so these, in general, mainstream media are unable to look at these situations objectively. So to us, we look at this, we see absolutely nothing on Blake Lively's side. And this is the case for a number of these Me Too hoaxes, but the mainstream media just views this stuff and their supporters through a different filter. It was always amazing to me how many in the mainstream media could listen to that audio, could hear that audio between Amber and Johnny, where she says, "I wasn't punching you, I was hitting you," and come away from all of that thinking that Amber Heard was in any way a victim in that whole scenario. It's just, it really is mind-boggling.
Well, it's just like the footage, and people are like, "Oh, the footage
Right.
that Baldoni released," where
See,
people are like,
it's
"Oh
the
yeah,
same.
she's uncomfortable," and I'm like, "You guys are forgetting this isn't Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively. Yes, they break character, but they are two characters, Lily Bloom and Ryle, and Ryle is pursuing Lily. Justin Baldoni is not pursuing Blake Lively. Ryle is pursuing Lily. Lily is playing coy as part of the love story, and she's not willing to, she's not willing to lean into her feelings for Ryle yet. But ultimately, they do fall in love, and then she doesn't want to leave him. So that's like saying, "Oh, Ryle's character was abusive in the film, but Justin Baldoni must be abusive too. We saw him, hit Lily."
I saw a post on Reddit that I shared with Zack, or I told him about the other day, and it's in one of the one of the subreddits about this case, which I find fascinating, all the posts about this case in there. And someone had posted, "Is it wrong of me to hope that Blake was actually sexually assaulted so that women can still be believed?"
Oh my God. Wow.
And of course it's anonymous, it's Reddit. And someone said, "Wait, you actually are hoping that a woman was sexually assaulted?" And the answer was, "Yes. I hope that women don't get unbelieved or go back in their belief as a woman because of this case. So yes, in my heart, I really hope that she actually was assaulted."
Crazy.
But that's how backwards this whole thing is. Oh, where'd she go? That's how backwards.
That's enough. Crazy.
She said,
I'm out.
Done. I am out of here. Colonel's out.
Colonel out.
But that's how this has become. It's become people are so sad about this actual victims because they're so scared of her being the liar, because it takes the actual victim's story and it makes them not be able. The Colonel, did I really upset you with that story?
Sorry about that. I don't know.
But that's how it's turned into. It's like people are not being able to see that the reality of this case, and they just they don't want women to not be believed.
Right. I was going to say, as a woman, I understand where the believe women sentiment comes from. We've all known people that we care about who've experienced harassment or abuse or what have you. But people have got, and I've said this before, people have got to come to terms with the fact that most cases of sexual assaults, or often even harassment, are he said, she said. And in those cases, then we can't just default to women, because there are a significant number who lie. And look, one more thing I'll say is, the other side likes to promote this idea that false allegations of a sexual nature are very rare, because there are a couple of studies that have shown that they are rare, but there is a wide range of results when this thing has been studied. And so there are some studies that show maybe 1 or 2%. There are other studies that show 45, 50, even 60% false allegations. And then there's everything in the middle. So if you ask me, starting at a 10% number, that's pretty safe. I think probably it's more like 25%, could even be 50%. But the people who say that this is rare, that women don't lie about this stuff, they just haven't actually looked at the evidence, because there are a lot of studies showing that they do.
Yeah, it's true. Somebody asked if Justin Baldoni can sue WME for wrongful termination. So it's not like he's hired by WME. He's a client of WME, so they do reserve the right to drop him at any point.
For any reason.
This could prove retaliation on Blake Lively's side. The fact that Ari Emanuel went on stage into a microphone in front of an audience and said he's ride or die, and they fired him, that, I think that's pretty damning that Baldoni's team can use.
It is damning. And the way that
You're muted, Ari.
Oh, I was just going to say it's really hard to sue talent agents. I know because
Yeah.
I sued UTA and Brian Friedman represented UTA. And I was suing them for tortuous interference, which I think is what Baldoni might be suing one of those parties for, which basically means that they interfered with an existing contract. And but yeah, it's just hard. But when you have, it's hard to prove is the point.
Yeah.
It's hard that directly was the result because they could always say, well, that's not the reason why. And you would never know because it's in their head.
Yeah. It's
By the way, I just want to defend myself. It's really weird because whenever I like insert myself in some type of controversy, people always like say stuff about me about when I hosted Britney Spears in Vegas. She got out of her conservatorship and I saw that like she maybe wanted to like go do stuff because we had reached out to Sam. And anyway, I only really invited Sam and I was like, this isn't, about Britney if she does, but if she wants to come, obviously we're going to do everything for her anyway. And then we ended up hosting her. I like flew on the plane with her and it was just really cool to see Britney for the first time, like have some agency because she had never, she couldn't even go shopping. So I set up like a shopping trip for her, a spa, like it was really cool. And I think that people that like infantilize Britney, like she has no agency. I know you guys are like mega fans, but it's super weird. And like, so all I did was like help her for free. I wasn't even working for the venue that hosted her. So anyway, it's so bizarre though. Like I always get these like, I don't know if they're like Britney bots or what, but I'm like,
oh, did someone say something? I'm so confused. I was like, why are we talking about Britney Spears?
I am too.
No, there's like people in the chat that said that I trafficked Britney Spears to Vegas.
Scandal. Scandal.
It's great. Britney bots, Blake bots. It's interesting. Michelle in the live chat also said, I'm upset now that I'm on the same side as Candace Owens, and I hate that. But so this is what's so funny about this, and this is coming straight out of this media playbook, is what I'm seeing. And I saw them put this article out a couple of weeks ago. I can't remember what publication it was. And then it kind of died down. And then The Cut came out with their hit piece on Candace Owens this week. And the thing that like frustrates me, but I also want people to be savvy to, is what they're trying to do is lump all of us in with Candace Owens. They try to do it with Megyn Kelly being part of this too. Because then I had one of my friends yesterday was like, you need to post a reel and tell people that you don't stand with Candace Owens and all this stuff. Like, you just need to do, like, you make sure that you clean up your image and, like Candace Owens is crazy and blah, blah, blah. I was like, I'm not even bothered by this game that they're trying to play to lump us all in, because they're also trying to throw Dave Neal in this. And, Dave Neal is also very openly political and he's very liberal, that I'm like, they can't position us in this right-wing conspiracy theory narrative or agenda that they want to throw us into, because it's just like, it's preposterous. And so it is crazy that they keep pushing this Candace Owens narrative of like, look at, she's leading the charge of all these, uber conspiracy theorists that want to take down Blake Lively because we all hate women, even though, I mean, you guys are women. My audience is predominantly women. Like, I don't get how we hate women.
That's their line. That's their favorite line. And I just want to say something about Candace Owens too, while we're on it. My boyfriend is ex-Army and he'll throw these Army terms around sometimes. And the other day he was using this term and I was like, oh yeah, top cover. I really appreciate the fact that Candace provides a lot of top cover for us, because we were talking earlier about the ways that Blake Lively's side might be able to make things difficult for content creators. And it does give me some comfort to know that we've got the hardest charging motherfucker out there on this. And I think, if you're going to, and I think honestly, when I'm thinking about Team Lively Reynolds and what they might be up to, it's comforting to think you're going to have to take on Candace Owens before you start worrying about any of the rest of us.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And listen, one thing about her is she doesn't go down without a fight, love her or hate her, agree with her or don't agree with her. Like, she's somebody that will come out like Rose McGowan, right? There are people you cannot, which also Rose McGowan, Harvey Weinstein, who represented Harvey Weinstein. Oh yeah, Leslie Sloan, who represents Blake Lively. Like, when you connect the dots, it's quite interesting. Chloe says, oh, go ahead, Ari.
I was just going to say, like, when I had a hit piece written about me, like, nobody, like, I was trying to reach out to, like, Hollywood Reporter, or my friend worked for Univision, Televisa, I'm Mexican, and they wouldn't have me on. They said, we don't want to fight with the New York Times. And then the only person that said, well, well, I'll have you on was Tucker Carlson, and all my liberal friends
Mm.
surprisingly said, do it. But there was some people that were like, if you go on Tucker, you're done in this industry. I'm like, well, I'm already done. So what's, even if Baldoni, I think he has more resources than just Candace, but it's like, who cares if you're bleeding out on the side of the road and someone says, pulls over and says, get in, I'm taking you to the hospital. You're getting on the train or, you're getting on in the car. And so I think that's what Candace Owens is, and anybody else that's speaking up to try to figure out what the truth is in the situation. So.
Yeah. Any final thoughts, guys, before we wrap?
Just that I love this so much, and I hope you will have us back. And also the links that you posted for us, I don't think they work because I clicked on them. They said broken link. I'm just letting you know.
Oh, Zack, you're trying to sabotage.
It might, no. What it is I think it tagged you guys, so it might only work on mobile.
Okay. Well, no worries anyway. I'm Colonel Kurtz 99 everywhere, all platforms. So.
I thought you were talking about creators sticking together. I guess the PR campaign is already working, and they're pitting each other.
Sorry, I came to take you guys down. I hate women. Sorry.
He's like that CIA guy. He's going to do all kinds of covert sabotage.
Yeah, clearly it's already working. She already got into your ear.
I'll update the links. But Donna, Kristen, Ari, thank you guys for coming on. Guys, follow them on X. Follow them on. Well, Donna's mostly on Threads because she loves to get harassed.
I've changed my ways.
And also, I know that you're trying to build your YouTube as well.
For sure,
I'm going to give you a shout out to both of you next time I do a big video. But I'm 5,000 away from 100. If anybody would go over
to get your plaque,
I know I'm like 5,000. So some of your audience rush there and subscribe, and then just stay subscribed for like a month till I can get my plaque, and then you.
No, you're going to get it after this leaked audio.
Grifter.
We'll see. But
I really are a grifter.
But yeah, subscribe to Colonel Kurtz on YouTube, Little Miss Jacob on YouTube, Donna Bowling, Daily Dose of Donna. Donna, you're going live after this radio show.
In just about 20 minutes. We're going to talk all about this and more.
And then I'll be going live later in the day. I don't think it'll conflict with yours, but everybody, thank you.
And thank you for including me. I wasn't going to miss this. If my voice was like really, if I couldn't talk, I was
sexy voice.
Yes.
Yay.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one. Everyone, guys, thanks for tuning in. Follow me at Just Plain Zack all over the internet. No Filter with Zack. Catch the podcast. Leave a review if you're listening to this on Apple. Donna has her podcast, Daily Dose of Donna. So go subscribe, listen to her. And yeah, I think I'll do more of these every Friday. I think I'll do a town hall and we'll recap together.
It's a good way to recap the week's nuttiness.
Awesome.
Yes. With a balance of perspectives.
Mm.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Everybody.